And we're in section 6.5, the nervous system. Okay, the nervous system, coordinates the actions of complex organisms. And it does that by an impulse, which is an electrochemical signal. And the electrochemical signal is transmitted across a network of cells that you remember it's called a neuron. Let's take a look at the branching and the overview of what the nervous system is. All right, the basic thing to remember is the central nervous system is composed of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral, which you see has several divisions there, is everything else. Okay, so all of the nerves outside of the brain and the spinal cord are contained within the peripheral nervous system. So that includes things like the nerves coming out, the cranial nerves out of your brain, the spinal nerves off of each portion of your vertebrae contain a spinal nerve, sensory and motor neurons, basically from the peripheral nervous system. You can see the motor neurons. You have a branch for a voluntary versus involuntary, and then sympathetic and parasympathetic are opposite responses. We will come back to these a little bit later on in the topic. All right, so let's go through them. The 5 basic parts, or basically the pathway of a nerve impulse, okay, include the following. All right, number 1, let's get them all up there. A stimulus, receptor, a neuron, an effector, and a response. Out of these 5, which we're going to define, obviously we're going to highlight neurons in the next screencast. Let's just define these words here. So what is a stimulus? So any change in the environment, internally or externally, that's going to cause your body to react. And what does it react? The stimulus reacts with a receptor, which is a structure, all right, a structure within your body that transforms stimuli, environmental stimuli, into nerve impulses. So nerve impulses begin with receptors based on a stimulus. All right, and these stimuli are then transmitted by the neurons, via the neurons, to the central nervous system, and it's the central nervous system where the decision-making happens. So you see the definition there. We're going to come back to neurons, so basic unit of structure and function. So when a response is selected by the central nervous system, either a conscious or unconscious response, the signal then is transmitted by neurons, motor neurons, to the effector. And what is the effector? Generally a muscle, organ, or a gland that produces a response to the stimuli. So the effectors are at the end and produces the response, which is the change dictated by the stimulus. So basically resulting from the detection of the stimulus. So you can see an overview of a pathway here, a picture of an overview of a pathway here. Let's say you want to drink, you eyeball, you have a stimulus, you're thirsty by sensory neuron. Notice there, we're going to go over the neuron section. Sensory neuron brings a stimulus to the central nervous system. Relay neuron, brain, decision is made, okay, via bringing it back, via an effector, your response, bringing it up to your mouth. So you can use either. So we're going to come back to neurons. So this would be the end then of screencast number 1, section 6.5.